Millionaire brings a random girl to his ex's gala, but everyone gasps when she steals the spotlight. But before we dive into the full story, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is now. Subscribe to the channel and let's get started. The cafe thrummed with clinking cups and the espresso machine's hiss, a small refuge in the city's heart. Olivia Reynolds moved behind the counter, her hands deft, tying her apron with a practiced knot. Her hazel eyes flicked to the clock, 2 hours until her shift's end, then back to her canvas, where colors waited. Her landlord's notice loomed, paints a distant dream. A man in a crisp suit stepped in, his presence slicing the morning chatter. Ethan Vance, his tech empire's weight in his squared shoulders, carried an air of quiet command. "Black coffee, no sugar," he said, voice smooth, eyes scanning before settling on her. Olivia nodded, working the machine, the air rich with roasted beans and rain from the open window. She slid the cup over, her locket, silver, catching the light, a glint against her worn shirt. "Quick hands," Ethan remarked, a half-smile tugging his lips. "Ever thought of more than pouring coffee?" Olivia's gaze sharpened, her tone light. "Pays the bills. Recruiting baristas for your boardroom?" He chuckled, leaning closer, his watch glinting under soft bulbs. "I need a date. A gala, tomorrow night. Good money one evening. You in?" Her hand paused on the rag, wiping the counter. Money. The word rang like a bell. Her rent was overdue, her paint's a luxury gone. A gala was far from her world of easels and steam wands, but his eyes, dark and searching, held a challenge, no mockery. "Name's Ethan," he added, sliding a card across. "Call by noon." She pocketed it, her heart a quick drum. The cafe's bustle swallowed his exit, but his offer lingered, sharp as coffee's bite. By noon, her phone was in hand, his number dialed. "Olivia Reynolds," she said when he answered. "I'm in." The next day, Ethan's car idled outside her cracked street, a sleek black misfit. She stepped out, her borrowed green dress clinging, her locket tucked beneath. Ethan's eyes widened briefly, then he nodded. "You clean up well." "Had to match your ego," she shot back, sliding in. The city, a faint hum, sped by. He briefed her, smile, charm, make Seraphina, his ex, jealous. Olivia memorized the script, but her mind snagged on the guest list. Thorne Industries would be there. The name stirred an ache. Richard Reynolds, her father, buried in scandal. At the venue, chandeliers cast golden webs. Ethan's arm looped hers, practiced, but his thumb brushed her wrist, warm, brief. "Ready?" he murmured. She nodded, pulse racing. The room parted, eyes trailing her unfamiliar face. Seraphina, sharp and radiant, stood across, her gaze locking onto Ethan. Olivia's smile was a honed blade, years of hiding her edge. She leaned into Ethan, voice a tease. "She's watching. Kiss for effect?" His laugh was low, real. "Save it for the finale." A colleague, sharp-eyed, approached, his question crisp. "Your take on the market's volatility, Miss Reynolds?" Olivia's breath caught, her father's lessons flooding back. "A dance of fear and greed," she said, voice steady. "Thorne's over-leveraged bets won't hold if rates climb." The colleague's brow lifted, and Ethan's hand stilled on her arm, his stare a question. How did a barista know? The gala's glitter dimmed, her heart thumping. Her secret wavered, a lantern in the wind. She'd said too much, and Ethan's quiet gaze held every word, a shadow glimpsed in dawn. The cafe hummed, quieter now, the air thick with fresh grounds and rain-soaked pavement. Olivia tied her apron, fingers swift, her mind replaying the gala's golden haze. Ethan's gaze, sharp with questions, lingered like a charcoal stroke she couldn't erase. She sketched in her mind, a habit to calm the ache of Thorne's name, her father's voice whispering, "Stay sharp, Liv." She shook it off, wiping the counter with fierce swipes. Ethan pushed through the door, suit swapped for a sweater, his presence commanding. His firm's resources backed their plan, a quiet strength. Heads turned, he ignored them, eyes locking on her. "We need to talk," he said, voice low, sliding into a corner booth. Olivia's pulse kicked, but she kept her face blank, pouring his coffee. Black, no sugar. "Busy shift," she said, setting the cup down. "Talk fast." He leaned forward, watch ticking, scar faint as he rolled his sleeves. "Last night, you knew things. Thorne's bets, market shifts. No barista guesses like that." His tone pressed, not accusing, like a hand on her shoulder. "Who are you, Olivia?" Her hands busied with a rag, heart drumming. The cafe's hum faded, her father's study flooding in. Charts, his laugh as he taught her numbers like a game. Richard Reynolds before Thorne crushed him. She swallowed, meeting Ethan's gaze. Just a barista who reads the news. His brow arched, unconvinced. I need you again. Thorne's briefing. Tomorrow. Same deal. More money. He paused, softening. And I want to know why Thorne's name made you flinch. Olivia's grip tightened. Thorne ablaze through years of hiding. Her rent was overdue, paints a dream deferred. But the briefing? A chance to dig, to clear her father's name. Ethan's warmth disarmed, his curiosity a risk. I'm in, she said, voice steady. No questions about my flinches. He nodded, respect flickering. Deal. My place tonight. We prep. Ethan's penthouse gleamed. Glass and steel. The city a faint hum. Olivia stood by the window, jeans replacing her dress, locket catching the light. Ethan handed her a tablet, fingers brushing, a spark she ignored. Thorne's execs, memorize them, he said, pointing to profiles. You're my consultant. Seraphina's jealous. Let's keep her guessing. Olivia scanned the names, stomach twisting at Seraphina Thorne's photo. Her father's ruin began with them. Fraud he never committed. She forced her eyes to Ethan, hands restless, fiddling with his watch. Your ex, she said, tone light. Why her? Why this game? He stiffened, then sighed, gaze drifting to the city. Seraphina left when Dad's company tanked. Said I wasn't enough without the Vance name's shine. His voice tightened, raw. Dad's company barely survived Thorne's games. This briefing's my chance to show her I'm more. Olivia's chest ached, his hurt echoing hers, her father's name, tarnished, heavy on her shoulders. She nodded, swallowing her story. Let's make her choke on it. They rehearsed, banter sharp, her wit matching his. Ethan taught Gala cues, nods, laughs. She taught him to loosen, teasing, drawing a real smile, eyes crinkling. The tablet lay forgotten as they drew closer, the city's hum sinking with their pulse. Her hand grazed his sleeve, too long, and she pulled back, cheeks warm. Thorne's briefing, she redirected. What's the play? Ethan's gaze lingered, then he nodded. We listen. Thorne's sloppy when cocky. You charm, I watch. He paused, softer. You're good at this, Olivia. Too good for a barista. Her breath caught, her secret a stone in her throat. She saw her father's face, eyes tired as he packed their life away. Thorne's name echoed, a wound unhealed. She turned to the window, reflection faint in the city's hum. Just doing the job, she whispered, truth caught like a song unsung. Ethan watched, silence heavy, as if he heard the notes she didn't voice. The Thorne Industries briefing pulsed with wealth, a sleek room aglow with crystal and ambition. Olivia, in a tailored blazer Ethan had sent, moved through the crowd, her locket, worn silver, her father's last gift, steadying her beneath her collar. Her heart raced, but her smile was polished, honed by years of blending in. Ethan's forged alias, a finance blog cover, slipped her past security. His tip about a rival's merger kept Seraphina's eyes elsewhere. He stood close, hand brushing her elbow, a tether, as they navigated the suits. Seraphina, sharp in crimson, watched from the podium, her gaze narrowing at Olivia's ease. The reporter, sipping coffee, eyed Olivia. What's Vance's new project? She asked, voice curious. Olivia's pulse spiked, but she leaned in, voice smooth. Data analytics, real-time market shifts. Ethan's betting big. Her father's lessons fueled her jargon, words crisp. The reporter nodded, scribbling, and Ethan's fingers grazed her wrist, a silent, well done. Her skin warmed, but she scanned for cracks in Thorne's armor. Seraphina's voice cut through, touting new investments, her smile all teeth. Olivia's stomach twisted. Thorne's reckless bets, the kind her father warned against. She caught Ethan's eye, nodding toward reports on a side table. He palmed a folder, slipping away, while Olivia drew the crowd, laughed bright, questioned sharp. Risky leverage, Ms. Thorne, she called, voice carrying. What's your hedge if rates climb? The room stilled. Seraphina's smile tightened, her glance uneasy. We're diversified, she snapped. Olivia pressed, her father's ruin fueling her. Diversified how? Your bonds are overexposed. Murmurs rippled. Ethan, back at her side, whispered, Easy, Liv, we've got enough. But she couldn't stop, years of hiding, her father's tarnished name, their lost home, pushing forward. The reporter tilted her head. You sound like Richard Reynolds, she said softly. I covered your father's case, she added, eyes kind. He deserved better. Olivia froze, breath ablade in her chest. Ethan's hand stilled, his eyes searching hers. The reporter's words sparked like flint. Olivia forced a smile, deflecting. Just a fan of old finance blogs, she said, voice shaky. Ethan's grip tightened, a question in his touch. The briefing ended, the crowd spilling toward cocktails. Ethan pulled her to a quiet corner, the city a soft gleam beyond the glass. Richard Reynolds, he said, low, urgent. You went pale when she said his name. Talk to me. Olivia's fingers found her locket, thumb tracing its curve. The cafe's safety, her easel's refuge, felt worlds away. She met his gaze, his dark eyes steady, not accusing. Her secret wavered, a lantern in a storm. He was my father, she said, words rushing like water breaking a dam. Thorne Industries framed him, ruined him. I've been hiding since. Ethan's face shifted, shock, then dawn breaking. Olivia Reynolds will murmur, he murmured, testing the name. That's why you knew. Why you're here. He stepped closer, voice a whisper. Why didn't you tell me? Trust isn't my strength, she said, eyes dropping to the floor's shadows. I needed the money, then saw a chance. For him. For justice. Her voice cracked, rawness spilling. Ethan didn't flinch, his hand hovering near hers, just there. He nodded, jaw tight. Thorne's my enemy too. Seraphina left when my dad's company sank. They played dirty then, and now. His eyes burned, a fire matching hers. We can take them down. Together. Olivia's heart thudded. Fear, hope, warmth unnamed. She saw her father's tired smile, his lessons in her pulse. Ethan's offer was a fragile bridge. Together, she echoed, voice steadier, her hand brushing his, a spark in the quiet. The room buzzed behind, but they stood apart, a pact sealed in whispers. Olivia glanced at Seraphina, laughing with execs, oblivious to the brewing storm. Ethan followed her gaze, smile sharp. She's got no idea what's coming, he said. Olivia nodded, mask back, but her eyes alive, reframed by truth, like a face seen anew under starlight. The city's gleam pulsed, and in it, she felt her father's strength, Ethan's, weaving with her own. Ethan's penthouse gleamed, its glass walls framing a city's hum, a low chime. Olivia sat cross-legged on the leather couch, a laptop on her knees, fingers flying over keys. Papers from the Thorne briefing littered the coffee table. Charts, memos, lies. Ethan paced, sleeves rolled, his watch ticking like a metronome. His firm built the USB software, his empire's edge in their fight. The air smelled of ink and takeout. Cartons stacked by the door. Olivia paused, sketching in a notebook. Thorne's lies taking shape, her dilemma in lines. Fingers grazed her locket, her father's strength warm. A colleague texted, "Your briefing talk's circulating, impressive." Thorne's offshore accounts, she said, voice clipped, pointing at the screen. Shell companies siphoned the profits. Classic fraud. Her father's cadence fueled her, Richard Reynolds' lessons in her bones. Ethan stopped, leaning over her shoulder, breath stirring her hair. Can you trace it? He asked, tone urgent. Alive. She nodded, clicking files, pulse quick. Cayman Banks, 3 layers deep. We need transaction logs, emails. Her voice faltered, her father's ruin pressing, branded a fraud while Thorne thrived. Ethan's hand hovered near her shoulder, sensing her walls, then dropped. He sank onto the couch, close, not touching, eyes on her. You're a natural, he said softer, like you were born for it. His words rippled through her, a stone in a pond. She glanced at him, his face open, a crack in his CEO armor. Her heart, a tangled thread, wavered between his warmth and betrayal's old sting. Don't flatter me, she said, half smiling, but her fingers paused. The room's hum faded, only his breathing, the city's distant chime. She saw her father's study, his tired eyes, then Ethan's, searching, offering something unnamed, a brushstroke on a blank canvas. He slid a coffee mug toward her, unasked, noticing her empty cup. Fuel, he said, voice light, eyes steady. The gesture pierced, simple, like a line drawn true. Her fingers brushed his, taking the mug, a spark she couldn't ignore. Thanks, she murmured, guard slipping. They worked late, the city's chime a soft weave. Ethan pulled records on his tablet, cross-referencing, their voices sharp, alive. Olivia guided a junior analyst, her clarity shaping their plan. Here, Ethan said, pointing to a memo. Thorne's CEO signed off on a deal tied to your dad's firm. It's a thread. Olivia's heart leaped, but a letter surfaced. Thorne's CEO demanding Arthur Vance's market intel, threatening his loans. Her father's ruin began there, and Arthur coerced, complied. Ethan's jaw tightened. Dad carried Thorne's pressure like a stone, never spoke of it. She froze, breath shallow. Ethan kept talking, unaware. Her father's voice echoed. Truth, Liv, always truth. But Ethan's mug sat beside her, his care a weight, telling him could shatter his family, their bond, this fragile thing. She closed the file, hands trembling, and nodded. Good, fine, she said, voice tight. Ethan's brow creased. You okay? His hand grazed hers, warm, grounding. She stood, laptop sliding shut, moving to the window, the city's chime a cold mirror. Her reflection stared, torn. Justice for her father, loyalty to Ethan. Just tired, she lied. He followed, a step behind, voice soft. Olivia, if it's too much, we stop. His concern cut, his presence a flame in her storm. She turned, meeting his eyes, heart tangled. We don't stop, she said firm, her gaze tracing his jaw, the warmth in his stare. He nodded, trusting, and her silence grew, a blade she hid. They returned to the couch, the letter's truth a weight she bore alone. Ethan's arm brushed hers, reaching for a pen, a touch that sent her pulse racing. She sketched again, a faint line in her notebook, her heart bending toward him. A thread wove their fight with something deeper, unnoticed until now, like a memory half forgotten in the dusk. The city's chime hummed, and in its rhythm, Olivia's resolve hardened, her love for Ethan a fragile anchor, even as the truth threatened to unravel them. The newsroom buzzed, a hive of clacking keyboards and sharp voices, its fluorescent glare stark against Ethan's sleek penthouse. Olivia, in a crisp blouse and glasses, slipped through the chaos, a press badge dangling. Her heart pounded, locket pressed warm, her father's resolve steady. Ethan's forged credentials, a freelance alias for a niche finance blog, passed security's scrutiny. His tip about a rival merger distracted Seraphina's team, keeping their eyes off her. He waited outside, car idling, texts a lifeline on her burner phone. She flashed her badge, smile tight but convincing. Freelance, covering the gala, she said, voice steady. The guard waved her through and she exhaled, stepping into a polished conference room where Thorne execs mingled, laughter grating. Seraphina stood at the front, crimson suit, a slash of confidence, briefing investors on unprecedented growth. Olivia's stomach twisted, lies built on her father's ruin. She moved to a corner, blending with reporters, notepad a prop as she eyed a server rack. A tablet lay unattended. She slipped a USB from her sleeve. Ethan's firm's software powered the USB, seamless and sharp. Her hands were swift, data flowing as she scanned the room, pulse a drum. A colleague glanced at her notepad. Those sketches are vivid. The tablet pinged, download complete. She pocketed the USB, but a file flashed. Vance Consulting, 2010. Arthur Vance, tied to Thorne's fraud, his coerced intel the key to her father's fall. Her breath caught, the room tilting. She recalled Arthur's weary voice, a shadow of her father's loss. She pushed through the crowd, mask slipping, and bumped into Seraphina. Careful, darling, Seraphina purred, eyes narrowing. You look familiar. Olivia's blood chilled, but she laughed. Just a face in the crowd, she said, slipping away, legs shaky. The reporter nodded. Your briefing was sharp, Ms. Reynolds. Her pulse spiked. Her face was no longer a shadow. A blog post praised her briefing, her name sparking quiet ripples. Outside, Ethan's car gleamed under streetlights. She slid in, tossing the USB. Got it, she said, voice clipped, avoiding his eyes. He grinned, plugging the drive into his laptop. You're a genius, Liv. He grinned again. Seraphina thought I'd fade. This proves her wrong. His warmth pierced, and she looked away, the city's dusk a velvet hum. The screen glowed, emails, ledgers, Thorne's fraud bare. Ethan steered his team's analysis, his leadership a quiet guide. Ethan sighed. Dad always regretted deals with firms like Thorne. Too late to fix. Olivia's silence grew, betrayals from her father's fall haunting her, making silence safer. Ethan paused, brow creasing. What's wrong? His hand hovered near hers, cracking her resolve. She saw her father's eyes, then Ethan's eyes. Warm, a thread fragile yet strong. Just the stakes, she lied. Throat tight, heart a quiet tumult. It's real now. He nodded, gaze searching. We're in this together, okay? His fingers grazed her wrist, a spark too deep. She nodded, heart splitting, love for him, loyalty to her father, Arthur's truth a shadow. Together, she echoed, the word bitter. Back at the penthouse, they pored over data, the city's hum, a distant velvet. Olivia analyzed ledgers with Ethan, her insight sharp, a strategist born, tracing Thorne's fraud with precision. Ethan's excitement filled the room, mapping their gala takedown. Olivia's responses were mechanical, her mind on Arthur's file. She saw Ethan's smile, his trust, and her chest ached. He brought coffee unasked, setting it beside her. "You're pushing too hard. Rest," he said, voice quiet. The act broke her, small and steady. She stood, moving to the window, the city's velvet a cold mirror. Ethan followed, presence warm, too close. "Liv, talk to me," he said, low, raw. She turned, meeting his eyes, heart a tumult. "I'm fine," she said, voice cracking. His hand found hers, real, steady. The touch sealed her choice, to protect him, to carry the secret. She sketched in her mind a faint line to steady her, the rift inside deepening, like a crack in a village well. His warmth held her, an anchor in the dark. The gala loomed, a reckoning she couldn't escape. The Thorne Industries shareholders' gala glowed, a cathedral of glass and gold, chandeliers scattering light like seeds across the crowd. Olivia stood at the ballroom's edge, her navy gown soft against her frame, her heart a quiet drum. Before the gala, she slipped the reporter a file, her evidence a spark for justice. Thorne's books were already under SEC watch. Olivia's file tipped the scale. Thorne's fraud crushed small firms, families like Richard's among them, shattering lives, Richard Reynolds' honor among them. Her briefings pay eased her rent, her paints within reach. She scanned the room, colleagues in sharp suits, investors with taut smiles, Seraphina Thorne at the center, her laughter sharp as glass. Ethan stood beside her, his hand brushing hers, resolve a steady glow. His firm orchestrated the gala's tech, ensuring her voice carried. He whispered, "We'll rebuild Dad's legacy with this." His voice firm, tying his father's faded dreams to their fight. His team, guided by his vision, amplified her speech's reach. "You ready?" Ethan murmured, breath close, his warmth a tether. Olivia nodded, throat tight. Arthur Vance's secret, his coerced intel that fueled Thorne's fraud, lay heavy, a stone in her chest. Telling Ethan could break him, his father, their fragile love. Hiding it dimmed her father's full truth. The choice pressed, a shadow in her mind's quiet sketch. She squeezed his hand, grounding herself, and stepped forward. The MC called Ethan to the stage, his name a ripple through the hall. He squeezed her hand, then strode up, suit sharp, smile practiced. Olivia followed, steps measured, her consultant's poise replacing the journalist mask. The crowd hushed as Ethan spoke, voice clear, praising Thorne's innovations. He paused, gaze meeting hers, a signal. "My colleague, Olivia Reynolds, has insights," he said, stepping aside. His team, guided by his vision, amplified her speech's reach. Olivia took the podium, heart a slow tide, the tablet glowing. Ledgers, emails, Thorne's fraud bare. The air thickened, anticipation await. She began, voice steady, cutting. "Thorne promises growth, but it's woven with deceit," she said, clicking to a chart. "Offshore accounts, shell companies, profits stolen while investors falter." Murmurs stirred, heads turning. Seraphina's smile froze, eyes narrowing, a predator sensing a trap. Her speech shook investors, finance blogs calling her a new voice. Thorne's fraud left families like Richard's, broken by loss. Her words flowed, Richard Reynolds' lessons in her veins, his ruin born of these lies. She showed emails, signatures, Thorne's CEO unmasked. The crowd shifted, anger sparking. Ethan, offstage, nodded, his resolve a steady glow, Seraphina's shadow fading in their victory. Ethan rallied his team, his leadership steady, a legacy reborn. The reporter glanced at her notebook. "Your sketches are striking." The reporter's note on her sketches spread, her art's quiet power drawing eyes. She sketched Ethan's silhouette, her love traced in soft lines. The final slide neared, data tied to Arthur Vance, his coerced role in her father's fall. Her finger hovered, breath shallow, the room a hush. Ethan's brow furrowed at her pause, a question unasked. His gaze lingered, sensing a shadow in her pause, as if he glimpsed a hidden truth. Ethan hesitated, then let her silence stand, his trust a quiet choice. Silence pressed, heavy as dusk. She saw her father's hand on her shoulder, teaching truth. Then Ethan's face, his coffee mug slid toward her, his care a quiet vow. Revealing Arthur would shatter his world, their bond. Omitting it dimmed her father's justice. She sketched a fractured line, Arthur's secret woven into her art, and met Ethan's eyes, his glow a beacon. Her mind, a silent rift, held steady. Thorne wove a conspiracy, she said, voice softer, skipping the slide. Their fraud spans years, breaking lives. She clicked to a summary, Arthur's name unspoken, her choice a silent vow. The crowd erupted, questions sharp. Finance blogs echoed her speech, her name a rising tide. Olivia stepped back, legs unsteady, Ethan's arm catching her as she descended. You were incredible, he whispered, hand on her waist, guiding her to an alcove. Later, Olivia led a huddle with Ethan's team, her voice firm, mapping next steps. A strategist at ease. The ballroom buzzed, investors demanding answers. Olivia's chest ached, her silence a scar. We did it, she said, forcing a smile, eyes tracing the floor's marble veins. Ethan tilted her chin, gaze searching. Liv, what's wrong? His thumb brushed her cheek, tender, breaking her. Tears pricked, but she shook her head. Just overwhelming, his eyes lied, leaning into his touch, heart torn. The secret was hers, a sacrifice for them. His arms wrapped her, steady, and she clung to him, the gallows roar a distant wave. They stepped outside, the city's dawn a fresh weave, air a balm. Ethan pulled her close, lips grazing her forehead. You changed everything, he said, voice thick. I'm proud. Her throat closed, guilt and love tangling. She saw her father's face, then Ethan's, and knew the justice she sought wasn't the full truth. It was this, their shared fight, his trust, a home unlooked for. The gala's fallout sparked, phones glowed, headlines brewing. Olivia's old badge buried in her purse was gone. She was no shadow now. Ethan's hand found hers, rough with resolve, and she squeezed, anchoring herself. The secret of Arthur lingered, a quiet burden, but in Ethan's warmth she found peace, like a path winding to an unforeseen home. The city's weave hummed, and in it she felt her father's pride, Ethan's love, a new strength, fragile but hers. The city bloomed under a spring dusk, its night a velvet hush. Olivia stood in a new gala hall, her emerald dress catching chandelier light, her locket, her father's closure pressed warm. Ethan's arm looped hers, his suit crisp, resolve rough in his grip. A news ticker flashed. SEC agents stormed Thorne's offices, assets frozen, sparked by Olivia's evidence. Her gala speech, lauded in finance journals, carved her legend. Her father's name, Richard Reynolds, rose from ashes. Ethan's firm, pivotal in their victory, reshaped the industry. Rent paid, paint stocked, her new role a steady root. Her art, freed by financial peace, bloomed anew. The air hummed, no Thorne shadow, no pretense. Olivia moved through the crowd, smile steady, Ethan's warmth an anchor. Offers poured in, firms, galleries drawn by her viral gala sketch sought her work, but she'd joined Ethan's company, a strategic consultant, her mind and heart aligned. Seraphina cornered her, crimson dress faded, voice sharp. You think you've won? Olivia met her gaze. Truth did. Seraphina turned away, her empire dust. Ethan glanced at Seraphina's absence. She's gone and I'm free, he said, his voice light, a wound closed. The secret of Arthur Vance's role in her father's ruin lingered, a quiet burden Olivia bore for love. Ms. Reynolds, the reporter said, hand extended. Your Thorne work was brilliant. Board seat? Olivia laughed. I'm happy here, she said, eyes on Ethan, his pride a quiet flame. The reporter's article, praising her, inspired Olivia's new canvas. Her words echoing Richard's truth, shaped her art, her name now a quiet legend. Her canvas, tracing Ethan's love, healed her heart's rift. Her heart swelled, her father's honor clearing as Thorne crumbled. Ethan pulled her to a balcony, the city's hush a soft weave. You're stealing the show, he teased, hand finding hers, a ring glinting, a simple band, no pretense. Olivia, he said, eyes soft, marry me. Ethan's voice softened, relief in his eyes as he read Arthur's letter. You've freed us, son. Ethan's relief shone, their victory freeing Arthur's past burdens. Ethan's choice to trust her silence bound them closer. Her breath caught, the city fading. Her distrust, born of old wounds, melted in his steady gaze. Ethan's leadership, forged in their fight, anchored his legacy. She saw her father's smile, his lessons, then Ethan's trust, a vow unspoken. The secret softened, her choice for love heavier. Yes, she whispered, as he slipped the ring on, lips brushing hers, steady. The crowd's murmur dissolved, their moment a dawn in her chest. They returned, hands clasped, her ring catching light. Guests toasted her, praising her intellect, integrity, a balm to old wounds. She leaned into Ethan, heart full. At home, her easel held a city dawn for Ethan, its colors their shared hope, her art a bridge to their future. The reporter's words echoed, her father's legacy alive in her strength, Ethan's ring a promise of tomorrows. Olivia faced the crowd, no longer a barista, a shadow herself, seen, loved. Ethan's laugh, low, grounded her as they danced, steps light. The gala's glow wrapped them, no masks. The secret of Arthur, a quiet wait, gave way to peace like hands clasped under a village lantern. The city's hush sang, and in its melody, Olivia found her place, her father's honor, Ethan's love, a tender dawn, whole. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that hope can be found in the most surprising moments, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Heartwarming Love Story. We bring you stories that touch the soul, renew your belief in kindness, and highlight what's truly important in life.